Hello and welcome everyone to A Course in Miracles 365. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and I'm excited for today's show for a number of reasons. Well, number one, I'm always excited to be sharing my experience here today. And number two, as we go through the workbook in just a few minutes here, we're going to get into some real heavy duty stuff. We already have with our determination to see and determination to see things differently. Today, we're going to spend some time really looking at, and I mean honestly examining our own minds and how it has created a real savage environment and existence for us. So that is, if you prefer to think of the glass as half empty, we're going to have to look at that. Yeah, spiritual practices like that. Half full, it's not real. In fact, all the way full, the glass has never been empty. In fact, there's no glass. This is all not real. All of it. We'll go through this in some detail. But first of all, I want to give you time to hop on here. And as always, thank you for tuning in wherever you're watching from. And I love being able to offer this live stream to you as part of my service, really, as part of my gift to the whole world and all of you. And I'm so happy that this exists because as teachers, we have a job to do. We have a responsibility to simply show up and teach. And we have a responsibility to show up as best we can and do our best, the best possible way that we can, all the time. All the time. Let's use Course in Miracles terminology here. The Course refers to the world that we inhabit. We'll talk about that here in today's lesson as hell, quite frankly. Do you think of this as hell? Your life might be really, really pleasant. You might have a lot of money. You might have a lot of time freedom. You might have a beautiful car. You might have a loving spouse. You might have all kinds of things, babies, grandbabies. You might have all kinds of things that we consider loving and good and that bring joy in this world. Yet we're having the experience of being separate from other people whom we see as separate bodies running around, eating our food, right? Drinking our water, maybe if they live at home or if they live on the other side of the world, as competing with ourselves, with this thing that we call nations, whatever that is, for supposedly scarce resources. Yeah. Any experience of separation is in fact hell. Any experience of love, which is union, communication, joy, that is the experience of heaven. And we're having one or the other. It's simple. We're having one or the other. And this is a lesson that the Course talks about again and again and again until we get it. So I hope that you're sticking with the process here, because it is a process. We obviously don't go through all 365 lessons of the workbook in one day. And as you know from your own experience, spiritual growth is a process, and it looks like a series of stops and starts, doesn't it? Some days are better than others. Some days it feels like you take one step forward, then you take 27 steps back. Forget about two, it's more like 27. Regression type feelings happen on any path. And they happen here too. We're simply asked to just show up. And there's a lot of energy for me personally, and for Cindy as well, on just showing up. On Sunday, we lost a very close friend to an aggressive form of cancer. And this man was a light in this world, brought joy and a tremendous sense of love, of companionship, of energy to all of his interactions. And it's amazing what happens. This is really what I want to say about that is it matters how you show up right now. That's all we've got. That's all we've got. This just anytime someone passes, it really underscores for us the need. And it's a need. In fact, a course presents it as a calling because it is a calling to show up, teach, and lead. Whatever that looks like for you, it matters how you show up. Anytime somebody passes, a friend, a family member, a loved one, anyone, right? It underscores the need to show up and be alive, 100% full bore, alive, right here, right now, in the present moment. Because you know what? Tomorrow is never promised. Tomorrow is never promised. I mean, if we're being really, really honest with ourselves, we don't know if we're going to be alive for another 15 minutes. It's true. We don't know. We don't know. All that we have is literally right now. And that's it. That's it. So, are you choosing love or are you choosing fear? That's the question. That's the question to ask yourself as often as you may remember that every moment of every day. That's it. That's all. All right. Lesson 22. Let's delve into this one, shall we? What I see is a form of vengeance. What I see is a form of vengeance. Okay, as I mentioned a couple minutes ago, you might not think of your life that way. In fact, you may be having far more pleasant experiences than unpleasant. And I should say, experiences that you label as pleasant versus unpleasant. Maybe you still have different degrees of pleasantness or unpleasantness entering into the conversation. So you are where you are. We all are where we are. I am where I am. And yeah, I'm feeling really good right now. 15 minutes from now, well, who knows, right? Who knows? We just don't know. Now, why is it that what we see is a form of vengeance? Well, we're perceiving a world of separation where we're running around in this thing that we call a body, communicating with other bodies. In fact, that's the purpose of the body, according to, well, pretty much any spiritual philosophy. But A Course in Miracles makes it very explicit that the body is a communication mechanism. And if we do what we're supposed to do with it, which is allow the Holy Spirit to pretty much run the show, like literally run the show, then it's used for the purposes of love, for the Holy Spirit's purposes. If we give it over to the purpose that is designed for, then it runs around appearing separate, but is really in the service of love. Now, if we don't do that, then it's serving fear and reinforcing separation in whatever form it may happen to take at the moment. So the workbook mentions attack thoughts. So what's an attack thought? Well, if you think about physically attacking somebody, yes, that's an attack thought. If you think about driving down the freeway and flipping somebody off, sure, yes, that's an attack thought. If you think about telling somebody off, about giving somebody a piece of your mind with an F-bomb laced tirade, yes, that's an attack thought. But it's actually broader than all of those examples. It's broader than that. Any thought that reinforces separation is, in fact, an attack thought. Why? You're seeing someone else as separate from you. And we can go there then with competing for finite resources, supposedly finite resources, on and on and on. Yeah, an attack thought is a thought of separation. So, how does that make you feel? Yeah, it might make you angry, it might make you frustrated or even sad. But what happens is with thoughts of separation, with what the Course calls attack thoughts, we begin to project that outward. And we're projecting it outward and we're seeing attack played back for us. You could liken this to a movie projector. If you put in a film, a war film, then you're going to get war coming back. If you put in a very loving, peaceful film, then you're going to get peaceful, loving energy coming back. So what we appear to see is a reflection of our own thoughts. We've gone through this in a couple of these live streams here. And if you're just joining us, I recommend highly, highly that you go back and view those and sit with this idea, because we're not taught this growing up, are we? No matter where you're from in the world, we're not taught this. And it would be a vastly different world, wouldn't it, if we were? Absolutely, it would. So we're preoccupied with thoughts of attack, and we perceive that the world is going to attack us. We're going to get attacked back, thereby the ego just loves this, justifying self-defense. So our own attack thoughts are in self-defense, supposedly. And it's a reinforcing cycle that just keeps going and going and going until when we decide to change it. That's when. It's when we exercise our free will that we have never lost, ever, and decide to make that change. Is that an easy decision to make? Well, no. No, because we have to arrive at the point where we want to make that decision. So for some of us, that means hitting rock bottom. For some of us, that means hitting a point that is so not where you want to be, that it compels change. How do you change? You make the decision to serve love. You decide for God instead of the ego. That's it. That's it. That's the decision we all must make. And the good thing about seeing everything as a form of vengeance is it's not real. It's a projection, like an image played back to us on a screen, like a movie screen, like a computer screen. It's an image played back to us in our minds. It's not reality. It's not ultimate reality. Yeah, it passes for reality here in the world, but that's the difference in Eastern philosophies between absolute truth, which is the truth of our being, God. God is, yeah, A Course in Miracles says that. That's the statement in words of absolute truth, which is actually even beyond that. Words are just symbols that we've made up, and we've literally made them up to signify or to mean something. They're not the experience themselves, right? Absolute truth, who we really are. Relative truth is who we appear to be. A body running around with gray hair, right? A body that's lost a bunch of his hair if you're a guy who's 49, like I am, something like that. Yeah. It's the world of separation. So it's not real. What we're seeing is a form of vengeance, but the good news, it's not real. Never has been, never will be. And we can pretend to make it so right now. We'll have the experience then that we're being attacked. I mean, if you go out in public and expect to, I don't know, get cut off on the freeway, what's going to happen? You get cut off on the freeway. If you go out and you want to tell someone off, what do you think is going to happen back? Exactly. I mean, at best, somebody's going to show you a lot of grace and think you're really having a bad day. At worst, they're going to get into it with you, right? We've all had that experience on both ends of that, right? Because we have both been highly unskillful in the world and we've been skillful. In other words, skillful being we acted out of love instead of out of fear. And we've absolutely, all of us, every single one of us, done both. And we've probably done both today. right? Already, it's afternoon here, Mountain Time in North America. Yeah, it's 12:18. Yeah, I've had both loving and non-loving thoughts today. How about you? Everybody has. So the lesson for today is real is again in practice, it's quite simple, like all of them are, is look around today. And it says to do this at least 5 times. So as many as you can. And if you only do 4, you're not doing it wrong. 4 is great. It's better than 0, isn't it? Yeah, that's I'm saying that for everyone that feels that you're not doing this correctly or right. You actually are doing it correctly by showing up. You're doing it right. Just make the effort to remember as many times as you can. If it's just once, it's just once. That's better than none, right? And if you don't remember, remember it tomorrow. Come back and do it again. Make the decision again. Because until we make the habit of choosing love, we have to consciously remind ourselves of that again and again and again, as many times as we can and must, which might be a lot. Yeah. I mean, in your life, that might be a whole lot. And if so, so be it. So be it. You're all doing this right. Just by joining me here, just by showing up, you are doing this right. I promise you that. So look around here and you tell yourself what it says here in italics, and I'll just read through it here. It says, I see only the perishable. I see nothing that will last. What I see is not real. What I see is a form of vengeance. And at the end of every practice period, as you look around, repeating these lines, ask yourself, is this the world I really want to see? It's not the world I really want to see. Right? How about you? Is this the world I really want to see? A world of separation and pain and savagery and people fighting people and competing against people and bitterness and rage and frustration. Yeah, low grade frustration, intense frustration, anxiety, fear. Is that the world you really want to see? No, and if you're watching this live stream, I know that the answer is no, it's not. It's not. And if you know of people that would benefit from the message of A Course in Miracles, or that they would like this live stream, please feel welcome to share this. Share this out with as many people as you can. And I appreciate very much everyone that has shared. So I want to tune in here with some comments for today. It's kind of an intense one today, but you know, the lesson really calls for it, doesn't it? It's not often that we pause to really take a look at how we're perceiving the world. And it might be shocking if you're hearing this for the first time to learn that what you see is actually a form of vengeance. It could be a real shocker. It could be a real shocker. I get it. If it is, I get it. And hello, everybody that is joining us. Hello, Lorraine and Deidre. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in here. Yeah. So, what I hope that people get out of lesson 22 specifically is just that it makes you think. I mean, that's what the workbook is really trying to do here, is to snap us out of our habitual mindset where we're just on autopilot, right? We come along, we plow through life. If you plow through life with our heads down, yeah, just doing what we do because that's life and we're here. It gets us out of those habitual patterns of thinking and gets us to consider what we really need to consider, which is the foundation of the very world that we inhabit. And it gets us to think about how we might be, could be, and are mistaken about the nature of it. And we grossly, grossly underestimate our own power. We only use a fraction in daily life of our capabilities. What if you doubled that, tripled that, more, more than that? Our power comes from God. It is the power of God. This is what we have at our disposal at all times, and we've never lost it. A spiritual path is a reawakening to the very nature of our being, which is love. It's none other than love itself. It's powerful, powerful force, the most powerful, in fact, that there is. It's more powerful than a nuclear bomb or an explosion or a volcanic eruption, much more. All right, so I hope that as you go through these workbook exercises, if there are questions that this brings up for you, you have resources. I'm available to answer questions that you may have. Even if you are catching this on the replay, I do every day go back through the comments here on the live stream. So if I see a comment from you and you have a particular question or a comment yourself, something you might like clarification on, feel welcome to ask, because I'm here to help. This A Course in Miracles here has utterly transformed my life, and it has been the centerpiece of my spiritual practice for the past 8 years now. And it's truly an amazing text, an amazing workbook, an amazing journey. It's all about making the decision right now, today, to show up and just do it. So I will catch all of the questions here as they come in on the replay. Thank you all so much for joining me today. This has been A Course in Miracles 365, and I'm Tomas Garza. By the way, tune in to the show guide here on Enlightened World Network on the Facebook page. So like the page, follow the page if you have not already. At the beginning of every day, there is a show guide that's posted with all of the show times on the network. And as you'll notice, if you've watched this more than once, this show bounces around a little bit in terms of the time that it's offered every day, but it is daily. So I will see you back here again tomorrow. And thank you so much, everybody, for joining me.